So Tyler took his workbench down from the shop last night, and apparently he had turned the hot water heater off on accident somehow. So the water, anyways, I dyed my hair and I had hair dye on my hair this morning, and he's home for lunch and I have hair dye in my hair that's been in my hair for 30 minutes. And at this point I need to wash it out. So I turn on the shower and gather all my clothes and everything before I get in. And we have gas. Our heater heats up really fast. Well, it's not heating up. And I'm like, why isn't our water heating up? I'm like, our electric's working. Like, why isn't it's not like the water's off. So why isn't our water heating up? Turns out when he took his workbench down, he had knocked something loose somehow, or allowed an air bubble to get in the hot water heater. I don't know. But I'm thankful at this point for 75 hard, or phase 1 of 75 hard, where I had to take cold showers every day for 30 days in a row. Now they were only 5-minute cold showers. I didn't usually take my entire shower cold, but I feel like that prepared me for this moment. Like, he got the water heater back on, but it was going to take a while before it started working. So it's not like I could just sit there with hair dye in my hair and wait. So anyways, I took a cold shower this morning and it's kind of hard. I shaved my arms. And I've done that since like middle school, because a boy used to pull the arm hairs on my arm and it used to make me mad. So, like, fine, I'm going to shave my arm so he won't have any arm hair to pull. Well, then he just started pinching me. Rude, right? I hate being hurt. Like, it pisses me off. Anyways, I've been shaving my arms ever since. So, point of that story was, sorry, squirrel, sidetracked. Point of the story is I shaved my arms and my legs in the shower, and I had goosebumps because the water's cold, and it's kind of hard to shave when you have goosebumps. Like, it doesn't feel good, and you don't get as good of a shave because it's not a great shave. Anyways, so yeah, that was my morning. Thank you, 75 hard. I'm working on my hair now. You like the color? You'll be able to see it better once. I just put red in it, like a darker red this time. Usually I do a lighter red. I've got Achieve today, so me and Tyler are going to Achieve, which is basically a DIY influencer conference in Waco, Texas. And I get to see all the girls that I talked to throughout the year, other DIYers and stuff, and they're amazing. And you learn so much about this crazy content creator world that I have accidentally found myself in. I don't know if I've ever told the story here before, but I didn't mean to become a content creator. I've been following, Jenna Sue was the one that got me into it to start. Like, she's amazing. Love Jenna Sue. And I found her probably on Pinterest or something. I don't really know. But I found her 12 years ago. And I went to her blog and I started from the first blog post and I read all of her blog. Like, her cat's name is Susie. I'm a stalker. She lives in Tampa. She's also got a lot of rental properties in Tampa. So if you don't follow Jenna Sue, she's freaking amazing. Anyway, she's the one that got me into DIY to begin with. But at the time, I lived in an apartment with Tyler. I worked for State Farm for a while, and I hated every second of working for State Farm. I am not cut out to work in an office environment. I just find it super boring. Hats off to those of you who like doing that or have to do it. Office environment is not for me, and I found myself lucky enough to have found 2 careers that are not office related. Being a flight attendant, love flying. What the heck is up with my eyebrows? So being a flight attendant and then stumbling into this DIY niche, which, anyways, back to the apartment. So we lived in an apartment for 5 years, and that's when I started flying, and I loved it. I love flying. I love talking to people. I love serving drinks on the airplane. I love all of it. Exhausting, but I love it, and I'll never quit. I don't want to fly as much now that I have a different source of income. Like, I don't want to fly. I was flying 6 3-day trips a month. So one week I'd work 3 days, and the next week I'd work 6, and then 3 and 6 or whatever. Apartment when I was following Jenna Sue, when I found her, because I found her when I was working for State Farm. I couldn't do any DIY work because I lived in an apartment, and I didn't know anything back then, like literally nothing. But I made candles. I tried to make candles. I even created an Etsy shop for candles back then, which is funny because I look back and they were really ugly. I made them out of old like soup cans and like corn, like produce canned food cans, and I thought they were super cool at the time. I covered them in burlap and lace. It was very country. And now I'm like, oh, those are not the, no wonder I didn't sell any. Yeah, my Etsy shop was a huge fail. But also, it's kind of hard to sell candles when you don't smell them. Like, I sold a bunch when I worked for State Farm to my coworkers because I'd have them on my desk and people would come by and smell the candles and they'd immediately buy them because they smell amazing. Then we got our house and I wanted a DIY, but I had no experience with anything and Tyler didn't trust any of the ideas that I had, so I had to earn his trust. I had to start small and work my way up. I started with the bathroom right here. I did the wood slat wall. Do you remember my wood slat wall in here? So I started with that. That was like the first project. I did paint the cabinet in the laundry room. That barely counts. I added shelves and painted the cabinet. So that was my first official DIY. But then this one was actually a DIY. I used a saw for the first time and a brad nail gun, and it was one of the ones that had the air compressor on it. That air compressor is heavy as hell, by the way. So I didn't mean for this to turn into an origin story, but here we are. So that happened, and then I'm like, oh well, Jenna shares online. I'm gonna share on Instagram just because back then I used my account for like Facebook, like you put all your photos on there, right? And I'm like, well, and if somebody happens to see a post and learn something from a mistake I've made or is inspired to do their own DIY, then cool, awesome, we'll do that. I was sharing on Instagram at that point, not thinking. I had like the people I knew followed me, and I think I got up to like 100, and then I'd be like 101. I'm like, oh, I got a follower, and then one person would leave. So then, well, I lost a follower, I got to 99. Like every follower addition or subtraction like sucked. Like I wasn't trying to get followers, but you know, you still want to be successful, even if you're not. So at that point, I was sharing the projects that I was doing, and after the wood slat wall I put together, I added the shelves in there. I slowly started earning Tyler's trust. You don't want to like mess up your house. Like, I get it, it's scary when you first start. And for my birthday that year, I think this was like 2019. Where was I? Oh, so my birthday that year, Tyler got me a Milwaukee drill, and my very first Milwaukee product, and it said on the birthday box on the outside, the card said Pandora's box. And which is hilarious because he had no idea how true that would be. So I opened the box, and on the inside it says, you've done a really good job, and here's your first drill. Oh, I forgot. So before the drill, I had installed the shelves in my living room, and it was just cedar, like 2x6 cedar planks that Tyler brought home from work. And he's like, hey, do you want these? You want to try to do something with them? Because they're left over from the office. And I'm like, hell yeah. So I literally used a screwdriver, one of his screwdrivers, and regular screws, and screwed each screw. I got brackets from the store and screwed those brackets onto the shelves with a handheld screwdriver. Oh my god. It took me like 2 hours because I don't know if you've ever done that, but, and cedar's soft. That was hard. Cedar is a soft wood, and that was hard to hand screw a screw into wood without a pilot hole. Oh, it's funny, the things that I know now that I didn't then, looking back. Anyway, so after that, I told him it took me forever. I got them done, and they looked really cute. I'll show you in a second what those shelves are, because I still have them up, and I still love those shelves. And then, so he got me the drill, so Pandora's box, and he's like, I don't know where this is going to lead, but here's your first tool. I'm proud of you, and how far, like the little projects you've done so far, they look really good. So here's a drill. So then I used, I think that what got me into that in the first place, and hold on, let me backtrack, because the very, very, very first project wasn't even at my house. It was my friend. She had water damage. Her fish tank broke, and it got water damage on the drywall between her second living room and her guest bedroom. So they had the drywall repaired, and her husband's like, oh yeah, we'll finish it out. It's fine. You don't have to finish it. I don't know why he does that. He sends like workers home before they're completely done with the project, and is like, I'll finish it out. And then it never gets done because he's got a lot to do. So I'm like, well, they finished the drywall. You just need baseboards in the guest room. So let's do the guest room baseboards. I'm like, how hard can it be? You literally cut it down, and the room is going. Sharkira. You cut it down, and then you just nail it into the wall. It's fine, right? These are the shelves I'm talking about. My picture fell because this door got slammed too hard. But anyways, those are the shelves that I literally screwed these brackets into this wood by hand. It was a pain in the ass. Anyways, so back to the point at hand. Yeah, so the baseboards. We've got a hand saw. We got a hand saw, and we didn't even get one of those like angle things because I didn't know about those at the time. Got a hand saw, and we got the baseboards, and we got back. And we're like, how hard can it be? Let's install the baseboards. Her husband's busy, so we're gonna show him how it's done. Well, I tried to make one cut with that hand saw on the baseboard, and this is an MDF very soft baseboard with that's like 1/2 inch. And I'm like, this isn't gonna work. I was just gonna like eyeball the angle. It was gonna be so, like, Tyler's like, it's fine, I've got a hand saw. So anyways, we went back to Home Depot at that point and got a miter saw. So that was her miter saw, and we felt empowered at that point. We got back, her husband did have to show us how to use it because I had never operated a power tool at that point. So her husband showed us, he set it up for us, showed us how to use it, which buttons did what, which buttons moved what on the saw. And then we were cooking. Like, we did not have a brad nail gun at that point. So what we did was use a hammer and some really tiny nails that like you would hang a picture frame up with. And that's how we put the baseboards on the wall. We just painted over the tips of the nails. Anyways, that was the origin story that led me into the laundry room, painting that laundry room. I'll put a picture up so you can see what I mean. Because it was just the laundry room cabinet was the same color as our kitchen cabinets. And they had like those ugly MDF white shelves that I took down, and I wanted to add some pretty wood shelves. So I used my friend's miter saw. I took measurements and went to her house and used her miter saw that we just bought to install those baseboards. And I used that to cut down those shelves. And then I painted the cabinet in the laundry room. And then because I'm short and I cannot reach, or my old washer and dryer, I couldn't reach the bottom of the washer because I'm so short. So I'm like, I'm gonna build a stool. I can build a stool. So let me show you the stool. I still have it and it still works amazing. You've probably seen it in my videos. But that was my very first piece of furniture that I built. And it's super sturdy. That was when her husband showed us how to use dowels. So we were using dowels to put together that stool, and that was before I discovered pocket holes. So the dowel method is awesome. I should probably do that more because I feel like the dowels are way more sturdy than pocket holes are. Okay, let me show you that stool. What do you think? I like the color. This little step stool. So this is all wood, and I took a sander. I think I bought a sander at that point because that's something I definitely needed, and I rounded the edges of this. I even did the X in the back to make it look farmhouse. I found a picture of a stool on Pinterest. Yeah, I found a picture of a stool on Pinterest and copied it. And this is just 2 pieces right here these 2 pieces are doweled together. I filled those in, and that's where the screws were. So yeah, that thing is sturdy as hell. Anyways, back to my story. Built that step stool, and then I did the wood slats and the shelves in there. And then I decided that I was going to have the cabinets painted, but I was really nervous to do it myself because I didn't want to screw them up. And it seemed like a really big project. So I found a lady local here that it's just her that does it. And I asked her to come quote me. Well, her rate for my kitchen was $2,500, which is completely reasonable. Especially after doing it myself and seeing how much work goes into it, I hope she charges more now because that's a lot of work. However, I did not have the money to pay anybody $2,500 to paint my kitchen cabinets that were completely fine on their own. I just hated the color. I tried to borrow a paint sprayer from somebody, and somebody in the neighborhood had one, but he used it for stain. And that thing, it was like metal and looked weird, and you connect it to your air compressor. Yeah, that did not work. So I had already sanded down the cabinets. I cleaned them first. Sanded them down very lightly because my cabinets are MDF with like a veneer, like a shiny veneer over it. So you can't sand through that veneer or else you're going to get to the MDF and it's going to look really bad. So I already had cleaned the cabinets, sanded them down, degreased them, and then went over them again with a water vinegar mixture to get rid of any residue from the degreaser. So there was no turning back at this point. So I looked online for paint sprayers, and I found a Wagner at Home Depot for $78. So I ran to Home Depot, I got that Wagner, and the paint, I think between the paint sprayer and the paint alone, it cost me $300, $350 maybe. I forgot how many gallons of paint I used, but I used the Behr primer and their cabinet and trim enamel. Posted that project once it was done to Instagram, and that was, hold on, let's step back a second. I painted them after I had taken the cabinets to the ceiling. I figured, I'm like, well, if I'm gonna paint these cabinets, we're gonna take them to the ceiling like I've seen other people do online. So I had already put plywood up top, taken the trim down, put plywood boxes up top, and then was ready for paint. So there was no turning back at this point. That's when I went to go get that sprayer and the paint, and I got them all sprayed. I did primer, waited for that to dry, and then I did the paint, and I only did one coat of paint because that paint coverage with the green was so good that I'm like, I don't need any more paint. And I was super anxious to get them back up to see what they would look like because, you know, impatience and DIY. So I do wish I had done more coats of paint back then. I was just impatient. Anyway, so that project was posted on Instagram, how I took the cabinets up to the ceiling and painted them, and it went viral. So back to the origin story of my accounts. I did not mean to start, well, kind of. My kitchen videos, Instagram at the time was paying so much money. If you posted a reel on Instagram, they would pay you for views, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna post a reel every single day of all the little projects I've done around the house, the kitchen being one of them. And I had no money at the time. I was broke as hell. So any money that I could get from Instagram would just go back towards projects because I enjoy doing them. I needed a creative outlet. I was very unhappy before finding an outlet for my creativity. My whole family is creative. My great grandma used to do like remodel furniture, reupholster furniture and stuff, and really stain it. Like the smell of stain reminds me of my great grandma, and I love that smell. So anyways, what do you think? Still gotta do the back, but I think the color's really pretty. I had a lot of gray showing through, so I had to cover those up. It said 100% gray coverage, and I think it did a really good job. Out of breath. Anyways, so I was posting all those online. This is 2020 at this point. Probably right around when COVID started. I know that's like a lot of creators started their accounts during COVID. And it wasn't because, I don't think we were staying home at the time. I think it was still like February of 2020. So I started posting a reel every single day, just of past projects that I had done that I already kind of shared. And then my kitchen one went viral. So at that point, I think I had like 1,000 followers, maybe 2,000 followers. And when that went viral, all of a sudden my account spiked to like 50,000 followers, and then it spiked to 100,000 followers, and then it spiked to 130 and stayed there for a long time. And that was all without, if I'm remembering correctly, that was all within like a week. Like, oh, at this point, I'm like, well, what can I do with this audience that I just accidentally got? I could not believe it, because before that, I was excited when a reel that I posted got like 15,000 views, because everything was getting like a few hundred views at that point. So I didn't know what I could do. So I reached out to some other creators that I was following that had somewhat small accounts. By small, I mean like 70,000. And I reached out to smaller accounts because I figured I'd have a better chance of them responding to my message, because those bigger accounts just have too many followers to answer everybody's message all the time. So I asked, like, how does this work? How much do you charge, if you don't mind me asking? Like, how much do you charge to work with a brand? And all that kind of stuff. And she helped me out. You're very gracious. I don't think she wanted to share, but she did end up sharing, which was nice because she didn't have to. And then I found my little group. So yeah, then I fell into this content creator niche on accident. That's how it happened. Thank you, Instagram. Although it's funny because when I said that Instagram was paying you for views back then, which they don't now, any views that you would get on your videos would spike up to like $100 in profit, and then it would just stop. So I think the most I made was like 150, because I got to like 100 the first couple days of the month. By the end of the month, it was like at 150. Like because I think the cash out amount at that point was 100. So you had to hit 100 before you could cash out. So it hurried up and got you there. So that way you got excited, and then you kept on posting and kept on trying to make it more. And then they just stopped your progress, which is weird. I don't know. The algorithm is weird. But yeah. So that's how this account happened. So thank you for being here. Like, it was a while ago. Okay, I'm gonna go pack for Achieve yet because we gotta leave in like less than an hour now. And I have not packed anything yet. So I'm just gonna throw a bunch of stuff in a bag and call it a day. I mean, that's how flight attendants pack, right?